the reason why this has never been done before is no one else will bother coming with us. So, there's a lot riding on it.
So I'm delighted to be joined by Omar Kabbani.
Hi, Simon.
So Omar, for the people watching this, please just explain who you are and what Micro Indy Collective is.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me and doing this. That's very kind of you. Um, I mean, you are a member of MIC, so maybe you could back up what I'm about to say. So what is Micro Indy Collective? Well, in short, it is a watch community that myself and Samuel Dano, my co-founder, set up, really to give, first and foremost, a platform to brands to market and promote themselves in front of a worldwide audience of collectors and enthusiasts. At its core, that's basically what it is. And we set it up in April of 2024, really just as a hobby, to give ourselves more access to independent watchmakers and micro brands in particular. This is a sector I think that is growing in popularity and interest amongst many watch collectors. And having access to these people is actually quite challenging. Unless you go to shows and exhibitions relentlessly, it's hard to get the face time. And as you know, the storytelling element of particularly independent and micro brand collecting is the storytelling with the watchmaker. So we wanted to have that dialogue in a place where we had direct access, and that's what MIC is.
And so what brought you to microbrands specifically? I mean, was that part of your own watch collecting journey, that you were an enthusiast, a collector of microbrand pieces, or kind of what sparked the idea?
It was in and around COVID, actually. We were all in lockdown, and that's when my interest in the micro brand and indie sector really spiked. It was just things that I was coming across on YouTube and online articles and media and journalism generally. And I thought, oh, what is that? That looks really good. And the more I looked into it, the deeper the rabbit hole turned out to be. So there was this whole new world and genre of watchmaking that I wasn't really too familiar with. Um, and I'm using, for the purposes of this discussion, the terms independent and micro brands quite loosely, because what I'm referring to are brands who are not the Rolexes and Omegas and Cartiers of this world. Um, and there was nowhere. I couldn't find a single platform that connected me directly with these types of brands. Yes, there are Reddit forums, and yes, there's Facebook groups, and you might find that the odd brand has their own WhatsApp community, which you can join and be a member of, but it's not quite the same thing. So in the absence of having one, we set one up, and I think we are perhaps the only platform of its kind, certainly the first one of its kind. And as of today, MIC has over 250 participating brands on it. So it's really a collective group of watchmakers who are there just to promote their work.
Yeah, and I think that what you're saying actually about microbrands is really interesting, and something that I've been talking about for a little while is I think it feels very much to me that the microbrand and the indie space is where all the really exciting stuff is happening. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, yes, we see, occasional sort of innovations from the big brands, but it tends to be slower. It tends to be much more considered. And I think in the microbrand space, we're seeing lots of innovation, lots of very design-led pieces coming through. And we almost see this on a really regular, consistent basis. And I think that for me is very exciting.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. I think, the key word is innovation. And I think, micros and indies tend to push the boundaries of innovation a little bit more. It doesn't always work. I mean, but sometimes you've got to be brave to try something new, and it might work, it might not. Since COVID, we had some crazy designs come out, which pre-COVID you would have thought would have never worked, but have become cult classics. Um, a prime example is the watermelon, for example, from Studio Underdog. Who would have thought, a watermelon-inspired dial would have taken off in the way that it did? And you have these really quirky and fun. It brings fun back as well. Some of these designs, they're not supposed to be taken seriously, and some of these brands, they don't want to be taken seriously. Um, so I agree with you. The other analogy here is I suppose the established brands are more corporate led. They've got layers and layers of management. They've got a CEO, and a design has to go through multiple layers of decision making before it gets signed off, and that process in itself could take a very long time. When you're a micro brand or an independent, generally speaking, it's a much leaner team, and I think decisions can therefore be made a lot quicker. Um,
They're much more
Sometimes for
agile, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They're more
Yeah.
agile. They could react to market conditions. So I agree with you. And with that comes the customer service experience. The fact that you can have direct access to the person making your watch, or the person who has designed your watch and assembled the watch, the owner of the brand, whatever you want to describe them as. Um, and you don't get that with the established brands. And again, I go to the point of human interaction and storytelling, and why this sector, I think, is growing as fast as it is, because human beings like that interaction, and they like to know more about the person making the watch. So um, again, I think it's going to continue growing as a sector.
And that's something I've really attest to, as you said. I mean, I'm part of that community, but also I kind of wear two hats because I'm there not only in my capacity as a collector, I guess I was going to say an influencer, but I hate that word, but a content creator, let's say,
Yeah.
but also now as a brand owner. And it's been a great platform for me to actually be able to engage with people who are buying my watches. So yeah, I think really what you've built up in a very short space of time, I think is really fantastic. And just before we move on, just explain how people can get on board and how they can become part of that community.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's at the moment it's a free community to join. If you look on our Instagram page, Micro Indy Collective, there's actually a link there which will jump you into the MIC WhatsApp group. And then within the group, because it's such a large community, we have different subgroups. One is more focused on micro brands, one is more so on independence. We have a lounge where all the members can talk about anything horology related. We've got a marketplace where members can sell their own, personal pieces. Um, Promotions and campaigns and pre-sales and all sorts of things going on all the time. So that's how to join. Yeah, it's probably best to go onto the Instagram account and link in from there.
So, Omar, one of the fantastic things that you guys are also doing and involved in now and hosting, I should say, is your own show. So just please explain what that's all about.
Yeah, so our show is called Timezones. It'll be hosted on the 21st and 22nd of November in Dubai at the Armani Hotel Burj Khalifa. Um, And those listeners and viewers who, are astute enough will have picked up that, yes, the show does overlap with Dubai Watch Week by a couple of days. And look, it was just a natural evolution, I suppose, of what we were doing with MIC, having grown a community of its scale and the support that we have from many of the brands. Um, to do a show dedicated to the micro brands and independent space, which this region, I'm based in Dubai, by the way, so which this region doesn't have. Dubai Watch Week is a world-class event. It's excellent, and I would suggest and encourage anyone to go who's into watches. It's a really great event, but it's a mix of brands and predominantly focused on the established names. Um, we are talking about a completely different sector. So we're not trying to compete in any way with Dubai Watch Week, but there's more to be seen. And a very good friend and colleague of ours, Ahmed Gaudat, who runs Watch Collective too, He's a content creator based here in the Middle East. He and I, were talking one day and just recognized there's this gap in the market, and why don't we try to bridge that gap? So that gave birth to the idea of time zones. Um, in a quick summary, that's effectively what we're trying to achieve. It has it has grown a lot. I mean, we were supposed initially we were aiming for 60-ish exhibitors. The demand was higher than expected, which is great. As of today, we're actually 80 brands.
Wow.
Crazy, yeah. The reason why this has never been done before is no one had the balls to dare do a show at the same time as Dubai Watch Week. Just that simple. And we thought the only way this is going to work for the first editions, you have to do it at the same time as Dubai Watch Week. No one else will bother coming otherwise. So it's exciting. It's a lot of work, but it's a passion project. It's fueled by passion. I can now understand why people say event planning is one of the most stressful jobs on the planet. It really is. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. I mean, it's just under 3 weeks away now. So
Just give us a snapshot of in no particular order, not picking out any favorites, but just give us a snapshot of some of the brands who are going to be exhibiting.
okay, well, I can't go through everybody, but perhaps I'll do it in two sections. So from the independent world, you've got the likes of Aurelia, Breva, Holthenricks, Klanik, Philippe Nobel, Zeitwinkel, Kurbidance, Philippe Piculic, of course, and the list goes on. From the sort of other microbrand world, if you like, the likes of, staple names like Baltic and Furlong Marie and Isotope will be there. And then you have some brands who, not wanting to offend anyone, fall into the gap of in between micro and indie, who I think most collectors would agree are not micro, but not full on indie either. So the Christopher Wards of this world, um, uh, they will be there as well. Satori Billard, and the list goes on. The list goes on. So what I would say is, time zones, and the reason why it's called time zones will be relevant to what I'm about to say. It's the world's only themed watch event. So what do we mean by that? We have gone to great lengths to try to create an experience for visitors. So it's a geographical journey, quite literally. You will be experiencing brands exhibiting together in their own respective time zones. So we're grouping the exhibitors together from their countries of origin. So all the British brands will be together, all the French brands will be together, all the American brands will be together, and you basically follow a route and travel through different time zones. So it's a slightly quirky take on a traditional watch exhibition. We also designed it such that you have to follow a certain path in and out. So it's not just a free for all. You can't just come in and go there, and there. You have to actually, walk the path and visit everybody and experience that journey. And it's pretty cool because there are design traits which are, I think, special to certain jurisdictions. The way Swiss watchmaking is done differs from the British, differs from the French, etc. So to see those nuances in this way, it is pretty cool, I think, and it's pretty different. When you register to come to Time Zones, your ticket is a boarding pass, and you have to scan that in to get into the event. And when you actually come into the event, you're going to be given your own little passport, and in the passport you have pages that you could get stamped from the brands that are exhibiting, or signatures, for example, from watchmakers that you like, and that's your little keepsake for the event. So
So
little.
is it anything like Starbucks, where if you get maybe 50 cents, you get a free watch or something? Yeah.
We haven't got that far, thanks, Simon. No free watches. No, but it's part of the just. We want it to be an experience. We don't want it to just be a just a show. We want you to get involved. We want you to share and promote the event and your experience. Go online and shout out about it, and share your own personal experience. So uh, yeah, these are just some of the highlights. I don't want to give everything away because I want to leave a few surprises for visitors at the show.
No, I mean, it sounds like you've really, I love the concept, first of all, about how the journey that people have to take through the show. And I think one of the real benefits of that, the beauties of that is, again, putting my brand head on. If you're an exhibitor, it means that there is never going to be a bad spot to be, because the traffic is always going to come past your books,
Thank
your
you for
stand.
recognizing that. Really, thank you, because this is what led us to that, actually. So again, have the benefit of MIC and having so many brands participate in it is we hear feedback from brand owners who exhibit at other shows. We get the good, the bad, the ugly. No show is perfect, and certainly, I'm certain Timezones won't be perfect either. But you learn to get things right from where others go wrong, and we heard a lot of feedback from our brands in MIC, who some of them will be exhibitors at Timezones, about this point. Oh, where are you going to place us? Are we behind the potted plant or something? It's so we took that on board, and I think this it's nice that you recognize that, because it's definitely one of the issues which comes up at other shows. The other big one is lighting, which everyone complains about, no matter where you are, I think, in the world. It's very difficult to get good lighting at watch events, so we've gone
And
extra hardcore.
that's not just what shows either. I mean, in a
Mm.
former life, a previous business, we used to exhibit at big trade events, and lighting was always an issue.
So, I mean, who knows if we're going to get the lighting nailed at least, but we've gone pretty hardcore on lighting. Putting in extra rigs, spotlights, lights all over the place. But ultimately, you don't want it too well lit either, because then everything will be sparkly and shiny. So and reflections on glass and AR sapphire and all of this stuff. So there has to be a right balance, but we've certainly tried. So
Yeah, it sounds like you've really thought almost sort of everything, really, and a lot of bases covered. But I just want to kind of rewind a little bit, because you mentioned in passing that, kind of how event planning is so stressful. I don't know if you guys have, in your background, if you've got experience in this. It sounds like you have. But let's just kind of drill down a little bit into what's been the real challenges that you've faced with this. What have been the hardest parts of putting this together so far?
oh gosh, it's a long list, Simon. It's a long list. Doing it on a shoestring budget is difficult, because you cannot economize on everything. Um, there are it was a challenge to prioritize the right places where to spend the money. Um, we don't have financial backers. There was no angel investor. We don't have any mainline sponsors either. So this was funded by us and funded by the exhibitors, who are obviously paying to exhibit at the show. Um, we, allocating funds in the right order, in the right time, in the right sequence was a huge challenge. Um, so that was one thing. The other thing is, I mean, Dubai in itself, uh, as great as a city as it is, does have a lot of regulations that, if you're not too familiar with, slow you down. And we didn't have that experience. I mean, you were asking earlier about my previous lifestyle, but I come from a legal background. Actually, I have no experience in event planning at all. Not certainly not on this scale. Um, but to get the right permits in place, to get the right licenses in place, to bring on design teams, doing it without PR as well. I mean, how you can have the best show on earth, but if you don't market it, no one's going to know about it and come. So all of these things were challenges, to be honest. And we're 3 weeks out, and the list of things which we need to do keeps getting longer rather than shorter. So yeah, it's a steep learning curve. but we're enjoying it. And there's 3 of us involved, so it's Sam and myself from the MIC side, and obviously Ahmed from Watch Collective too. So we are the trio behind Timezones. And I mean, if it wasn't working with those 2 guys, it would have really not been as enjoyable. But the 3 of us are quite close, and we've really enjoyed the experience doing it together. I don't think I could have done it with another team, to be honest. So um, that made it okay, I suppose. I haven't fully grayed my hair, so I'm all right.
Yeah, we'll see how you look after the show.
Yeah, there's still time. Yeah.
There's still time. Yeah, but no, look, I'm sure it's going to be a huge success. I'm really, I have to say, I'm gutted that I can't be there to exhibit with Monceau. The timing for me right now just wasn't quite right. But I really hope that there's another show next year, and I really hope that I will be at that one. So that's something that I'm already looking forward to.
We'd love to have you. Absolutely. So, I mean, you mentioned it. So, Time Zones is going to be an annual event. We hope will be an annual event here in Dubai. So there will be a 2026 edition. In fact, we're already speaking to some brands about that who've expressed an interest for next year because they simply couldn't make it this year, such as yourself. But the concept of time zones is all about travel, exploration, and discovery. So we would be very open and interested in doing it in other cities. And we have earmarked 2 or 3 locations. But we don't want to rush into it and do it wrong. So each market needs its own analysis, research, and study. To justify if it's worth doing a show in that market. Is the demographic there? Is the interest there? And how do the brands feel about it? Is this part of their business plan strategy? Do they want to penetrate those markets as well? So there's a lot behind the scenes before you just go ahead and start, booking hotels and venues and stuff. So we're in those kind of early stages with regards to other places, but Dubai, Dubai 26 is already, the wheel has started turning, but we want to deliver this event before we start focusing on that one.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so I mean, the big one, the important question is, for guys who want to, or people who want to attend, how do they do that? Do you have to register? What's the process there?
Yes, yes, it's free registration. You just have to register through our website. So that's www.timezonesofficial.com. It, as I said, we have tickets for registration on the 21st and then 22nd. It's completely free. And we also have watchmaking classes hosted by Initium, which again, you could just book via the website as well. So yeah, please, we look forward to welcoming you at Time Zones.
And a reminder of the dates again?
It's the 21st and the 22nd of November. And the opening times for the show are on the website as well.
Well, I certainly encourage everybody to go and hit the site. And if you can be in Dubai, if you can get to the show, I really encourage you to do that, because I do think this is genuinely going to be a fantastic event. I've been to a few smaller events that have been focused around microbrands, and obviously British Watchmakers Day in London. But I really think that this is going to be right up there with us, almost the pinnacle of this kind of event.
Thank you, Simon. Kind of you to say. And yeah, I mean, I'm gutted you're not there yourself either, but next year, hopefully.
Well, Omar, look, thank you so much for joining us today. I really wish you all the best for the show. I think it is going to be fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me again. I appreciate it.